welcome to Unity of Wilmington's hybrid service. I'm glad to be here with you along with Katie Deese, our music director on piano. I'd like to welcome a new soloist, and that's Max Iapalucci. And Reverend Nikki Golden will be giving the lesson. We are a spiritual community united in love, expanding consciousness and inspiring personal transformation as we embrace these three truths that we know and live. You are a beloved expression of God. You are the essence of life. 2, you are here for a holy purpose. Listen to your heart. Be still and know. And you're always at the right place, at the right time, right now.
Oh, this son of mine I love so well, and oh, the toll it takes. I could give to him a garden and keep it free of snakes, but the one thing he most treasures is to make his own mistakes. Oh, he goes charging up the cliffs of life, a reckless mountaineer. I could help him not to stumble, I could warn him what to fear. I could shout until I'm breathless, and he'd still refuse to hear. Oh, but you cannot close the acorn once the oak begins to grow, and you cannot close your heart to what it fears and needs to know, that the hardest part of love is the letting go. As a child I found a sparrow that had fallen from its nest, and I nursed it back to health till it was stronger than the rest. But when I tried to hold it, then it pecked and scratched my chest till I let it go. And I watched it fly away from me with its bright and selfless song, and a part of me was cursing I had helped it grow so strong. And I feared it might go hungry, and I feared it might go wrong. Oh, but I could not close the acorn once the oak begins to grow, and I could not close my heart to what it fears and needs to know, that the hardest part of love is the letting go. And it's only in Eden grows a rose without a thorn, and your children start to leave you on the day that they are born. They will leave you there to cheer for them, they will leave you there to mourn ever so. Like an ark on uncharted seas, their lives will be tossed, and the deeper is your love for them, the crueler is the cost. And just when they start to find themselves is when you fear their loss. Oh, but you cannot close the acorn once the oak begins to grow, and you cannot close your heart to what it fears and needs to know, that the hardest part of love and the rarest part of love and the truest part of love, love is the letting go.
Wow, thank you, Max. You guys can't see it, but he's getting a standing ovation, well deserved. Thank you. What a joy to have you here. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm impressed. We're talking about the pause today. Trust the pause. So many of us have had lots of experiences with pauses. You might have had a pause on your way here today. When we stop at a red light, that's a pause. And when we stand in line someplace, it's a form of a pause. If you ever get in the Starbucks line that's really, really long, that's definitely a pause. But what do you do with the pause, and how do you handle it? Do you get frustrated? Yeah? Oh, look at, I'm getting some yeses. Me too. There was a meme on Facebook recently, and this woman was talking about what she does with the pause. So when she is in her car and she's driving along, she comes to a red light or she comes to a lot of traffic, she takes her steering wheel and she uses it as if it's a prayer wheel, and she runs her hands along it, and she thinks about people in her life she wants to hold in the light. She thinks about people in her life that she wants to hold in the highest consciousness possible, which is what we see prayer as. So when we decide that we're going to trust the pause, we can actually have an incredibly different experience with the pause. So I want you to think about for a moment, what's a project that you were working on, or maybe you are working on, and there's been a pause. And what came up for you? What was your initial reaction as that pause came forth? You know, I believe in the pause. I believe the pause is there for a reason, because we've heard many stories about how somebody was going to get on an airplane and they did not make that airplane, and something happened and they were safe. And then it was only in looking back that they saw the gift of that pause, and that was a pause. Same with traffic. So there's a lot of things that we don't know what the end point will be in life. But when we can trust that it is right and perfect, it's much easier. We affirm regularly here that we're in the right place at the right time right now. And we use that affirmation not to make it true, but to remember its truth. And that truth is the same when we're in the pause. The pause is also biblical. I want to share a passage from Isaiah with you that talks about this. This is from the New Revised Standard Version. Those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. That's a familiar verse that's used in a lot of different places. Those that wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles, and they shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. That can be a powerful verse, but I want us to look at it with just a little bit of difference, and that is metaphysically. We are a metaphysical church. We look at the Bible from a metaphysical point of view. And what that means is we see ourselves as every character in the story. We see ourselves as every place in the story. And every time in the story is actually right here and right now. So let's take a look at this and see what shifts. So to wait metaphysically means to listen. Listen to the voice of Spirit. So when we are in the pause, we are actually being called to listen deeply to the voice of Spirit. What is wanting to emerge from deep within us? What is wanting to come forth from our own hearts? The word Lord can be two different things metaphysically. It can be the I am of us, which is the divinity of us, or it could be spiritual law. And in this case, I'm going to look at it for a moment with spiritual law. Strength, metaphysically, is the energy of God. We are fully divine and fully human. And the question I ask regularly is, how much of our divinity and how much of our humanity are we actually expressing? And I believe that it's the expression of both, that full humanness and that full divinity, and the interweaving of that gives us the powerful, amazing, magnificent lives that are possible for us. Wings is the freedom, metaphysically, from material limitations. Have you ever bumped up against your material limitations? I have, quite often, and yet we're being invited to go beyond those material limitations and see the freedom that we have, and to walk, to acknowledge the power of the Christ within. Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, talks about speaking for God. God saying to everyone, I knew you, and I have known you since the very beginning of time. I have known you since the very beginning of creation. That leads me to believe of our infinite presence in spirit as spirit. To be known that deeply from the beginning of time, before we came into this human embodiment, to be known, which is what most of us want, is to be known by someone else. So we begin in being known by spirit. We begin in being known by love, because the Bible also teaches that God is love. And so we are known by love from the very beginning of time. I think that's powerful. It's so powerful, sometimes people have a difficult time taking it in, because that's a lot of love. So just take a breath into that and really see if you can let that in, how deeply, how infinitely you are loved and have been since the beginning of time. So to acknowledge that power of Christ, you could even say to acknowledge the power of love within ourselves. So this is what it looks like when we put it all together metaphysically. Those who listen to the voice of spirit within and utilize spiritual principles shall renew their energy of God. They shall mount up with the freedom from spiritual limitations. So we don't have any spiritual limitations. We also don't have any material limitations, like eagles. So we can fly like an eagle. We can soar. We can be as expansive in our lives as we desire to be and not be weary. We can acknowledge the power of the Christ within and not go faint. You know, faint is one of the signatures of fear. When we are overwhelmed, sometimes, I don't know about you guys, fight and flight is something people know well. But freeze, getting so fearful that we're frozen and we don't know what to do, is another signature of fear. And going faint, like, oh gosh, I can't even think. I can't even think. Have you ever been in that place? Oh, I'm just so overwhelmed. I can't think. I can't think logically. I can't think linearly. I'm not sure what to do. And so this is what this is talking about. The power of love, the power of Christ, the power of the divine, whatever word you want to use. Don't let the words get in the way for yourself. But to utilize, draw forth from within the power and not go faint. To be able to stand steadfast. To be able to stand in that pause and know that we are in a foundation of being in the right place at the right time. And that time is in the pause. And sometimes that's the most difficult thing to hold on to in the midst of a pause, especially if, like me, if you guys are like me, where you're kind of pushing up against that pause, wanting something to hurry up and manifest. Where's my stuff? As Abraham Hicks will talk about. Where's my stuff? Where's this life that's so amazing? Where's this life that's so magnificent? How come it's not unfolding quickly? But remember, in God, there is no time. Time is simply infinite. So the way we mark and measure time, and the way things are, coming forth and emerging for us in our answered prayers, in our answered manifestations, in our answered visions, may be on a different time frame. And I have to be honest with you, that's the piece that often I push up against the most. I want it, and I want it now. And we live in an instantaneous type of environment now where things can be. You can walk up to certain places and get your food immediately. And if you go into certain restaurants, you may sit there leisurely for a period of time, maybe 30 minutes before your food comes. And depending on who you're with and what the rest of your day looks like, it might be very leisurely and pleasant, and you're so happy to have this pause. Or it may be like, hurry up, where's my food? How come they're taking so long? And depending on your hunger, too. So there's all kinds of ways to begin to address this, to begin to embrace the pause. But so often we embrace it with worry, we embrace it with fear, we embrace it with doubt. Obstacle comes in a way of our manifestation. We've been holding an intention for a period of time. We've been doing it with an elevated emotion, and we feel like we're on this path to manifestation. And what happens? An obstacle comes in our way. And what's the first thing we do? Oh, wow, this is beautiful. Gives me a time to reflect, to refresh myself. Or do we say, oh, maybe this wasn't meant to be? I mean, where do we go with it? And each of us is probably going to go with a different place. But the pause gives us some moments, gives us some time, and gives us an opportunity to relax, to revision, to hold that vision, to tune into our heart space, to stand more firmly on what we desire, that desire that comes from the heart, to stand more firmly on that, and to open up to that more fully, and to be raising our own vibrations, because we get what we're vibrating to, the frequency of what we're vibrating to. And sometimes that pause has allowed me to learn something new that allowed me to step into that manifestation more fully. Sometimes that pause has allowed me to raise my vibration. And it's also allowed me to look at my doubts and my fears. Paul Tillich, who was a Christian theologian, a mystic, said that without doubt, we cannot truly have faith. And so the doubt, which sometimes we look at and go, oh, there must be something wrong with me because I'm doubting something, can actually be used as the opposite. As I think about this, as I look at this, as I explore this, whatever your this is, from that consciousness of doubt, we can raise that to stand in faith. Faith. Most people don't think about doubt being an invitation to stand more fully in our faith. That the pause can be an invitation to explore, what am I afraid of? What do I really want? And what am I not saying that I really want because I don't believe that I'm going to receive it? The other piece of the pause and being able to wait, to listen to the inner voice within us, to spend the time in prayer or meditation, or to listen to the voice of guidance that comes from our friends, comes from books that we read, because Spirit is unlimited in the way that we can be addressed around something. Unlimited in the way that a communication can come forth. Have you ever been thinking about a question that you had and you're wondering about something and you're playing with it in your mind and you turn the car on and here comes either your radio or your Bluetooth turns on and the song has exactly the words that you needed to hear? I have that regularly. And I think it's beautiful. And when it happens, I just say, thank you. Because it's like, yes, it's a message from the universe. It's a way that I believe the universe is saying, I am here with you and I am for you and I'm doing the absolute best I can do to invite you to step forward and to open your heart up, to open your mind up, and to step into what you want. I believe that passionately. And I see it happen over and over in my life. And I see it happen over and over in other people's lives. So what fun we can have as human beings in the pause. But it also takes patience. We have what's called the power of strength, one of the 12 powers that Unity speaks about. And one of the parts of strength is patience. And this is part of what Charles Fillmore says about patience. Metaphysically, patience is an attitude of mind characterized by poise. So think about your last pause. Were you poised? I was not. I truly was not. Inner calmness and quiet, respectful trust. I mean, that's a powerful thing. This comes both from the Revealing Word and Keep a True Lit, two of Charles Fillmore's books. So patience is an attitude of mind characterized by poise, inner calmness, and quiet, respectful trust, especially in the face of trying conditions. Trying conditions. They're a part of life. And sometimes people come onto a spiritual path and they believe, oh, things are going to be bliss. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Oh, wouldn't we get bored? Can you imagine what drama we would create because things are too peaceful, things are too quiet. I'm getting bored because there's so much bliss in the world. Can you imagine what drama we would create? Because we do it. We do it. And so when we can come forth and say, hey, I'm going to face this difficult situation from a place of poise. I'm going to call upon Isaiah, the words of the prophet Isaiah, spoken to me in ancient times, but just as meaningful in this time. And I'm going to utilize them. And I'm going to tune in. And I'm going to know that I can be unlimited. I'm going to know that I can use this time to expand my consciousness in such a manner that what I desire comes forth with greater ease. And I can know that deep within me, the power of the I am, the power of Christ is with me. The power of love is within me. And all I have to do is stand in it in consciousness. To just simply stand in it in consciousness and step forward to what I want. And to have the patience to do it with poise, to do it with inner calmness, and to do it with the respect of trust. Are you in for this, you guys? Yeah, it's fascinating. Imagine the lives that we could create. Imagine the spiritual community that we can create. Imagine how different the world would look as we move through places that we may think of as chaotic. You guys know I always use Walmart. You know, how different can it be to move through Walmart? I used to practice this all the time when I lived in New York City and moved through the rush hour traffic trying to get to the subway so I could get home. Like, how can I open up the energy of space before me by being incredibly centered? So how can we go through our lives in any atmosphere, in any environment that we're in, and be incredibly centered? Now, I'm talking about this, but I want to tell you I don't do it all the time. And once in a while, I'm really good at it. And the once in a while that we're really good at it is the time we really want to celebrate ourselves. Because as we celebrate ourselves, then we're going to get better and better and better and better at it. And we have lifetimes to do it. So let's have a good time doing it while we're doing it too. So I want to tell you a little bit about a study that was done at Harvard. Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert. They started to look at people. They used an iPhone app, and they started to look at people. They used 2,000, an N of 2,000, so they had 2,500 subjects with this iPhone app, and they would people would download the app, and then they would answer a set of questions at a period of time. So what Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert found was that people spend 46.9% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing. So really, we're not present. Is a nice way to say, we're thinking about something other than we're not doing. We're not present. And what happens is in this mind wandering, this not being present, we're unhappy. 46.9% of the people are unhappy because they're not present to the moment. What we know in quantum physics, what we know metaphysically, what we know from unity teachings is that when we are present in this moment, there is only this moment. That we are the ones who bring our past forward, or we are the ones who put our energy out. Sometimes I call it looping backwards and looping forwards, looping into the future. So I'm looped out into the future, and I'm having a hard time living in this present moment, being happy in my present moment, because I'm actually not here. My body is, but I'm over there thinking about something either that I'm hoping for, or I'm thinking about something that happened. And I found myself doing this last night. I lay down, I was trying to go to sleep, and I was thinking about something from the past. And I noticed that my cognitive ruminations had begun. My monkey mind started going. And what I had to do is I had to bring my focus back into the present moment. And I had to bring my focus back into the present moment several different times. Come back here, be here now. Come back here, be here now. Get present. What's happening in this moment? So one great way to presence ourselves is just simply to focus on our breath, to take a few breaths, to focus on our breath, to notice what's tense and what's loose and spacious in our bodies is another way to presence ourselves. To simply affirm, I am, is a way to presence ourselves. So to come into that space will assist us in getting present. And what the researchers found is the more present we are, the happier we are. Makes sense to me, you know. And 2,500 people is a pretty good size population to study from. And this iPhone app is still present and running. I checked it out last night. But really what they're saying is, what does it take to get present? And when we have the pause in our lives, when we can trust the pause in our life, when we can get present in the pause, to the pause, with the pause, then we're not in resistance. So when we are in the flow of life, life feels easier, but it takes being present to be in the flow of life. But I love that. I think it's great research. So I have an affirmation for us if you're interested in it. I face the pause with joy, trusting the process. When I notice I am in worry, doubt, or fear, I acknowledge that God is the source of all of my good. God is the source of all our good. And I focus my mind and heart with gratitude for the good that is coming my way. If that's something you're interested in, say it with me now. I face the pause with joy, trusting the process. When I notice I am in worry, doubt, or fear, I acknowledge that God is the source of all my good, and I focus my mind and heart with gratitude for the good that is coming my way. I'm focusing on the good that is coming my way because God is the source of all for us. That is a foundational unity belief. And sometimes when we get a paycheck from our work, when we get a tax rebate or a tax return, we think the government is our source. We think that all kinds of different things are our source. Maybe we have a source of love that we think is a person. And yet the truth, the capital T truth, the absolute truth, is that our source of all things is God. We resource them, and that God as principle is present in our lives, but we are the ones that make manifest all that we desire. We do it through holding a clear intention with an elevated emotion. I call it a heart-centered emotion. And we do it with gratitude. We do it with love. We do it with joy. And we see it coming forth. We use the power of our imagination to see this that we desire, this intention coming forth. And when we allow ourselves the pause to sit in meditation or to walk in meditation and hold that intention until we feel as if it's already happened, then it begins to come forth. So my invitation as we take this time in meditation for you is to choose for a moment an intention in your life. What do you want to bring forth? What do you want to manifest? And then what emotion that's heart-centered would you like to pair, would you like to marry with that intention? Is it love or joy? Is it harmony? Is it gratitude? Is it peace? So think about something in your life and then generate that feeling. And our brains don't know the difference between whether we're imagining or something's happening in what we think about as reality. The brain is going to be just responding to what we're thinking about and what we're feeling. So I invite you to breathe into that and to generate the feeling. And if you have to go back to feel the feeling of joy or love or peace into a memory, what a wonderful way to bring the past forward. To go back to the time when you felt gratitude, when you received something that you most desired. Go back to that time and bring that feeling forward into this present moment and pair it with your intention and breathe into it. And I'm going to actually be quiet for a moment and let you do that. Feel it as deeply, as intensely, as passionately as you can. Notice if your heart begins to smile from your joy, from your peace, from your love. And if not, imagine your heart smiling. Use the power of your imagination in this moment. And open up to the knowing that before the beginning of time, we were a thought in the mind of God. That we were love and loved in the mind of God. And know that when we listen to the inner voice, when we call forth the desires from our heart, when we move into alignment with spiritual law, the law must manifest our desire. But we must stay in the limits of spiritual law, which means that the thoughts that we hold in mind and the feelings that we hold in our mind will produce similar thoughts and feelings. So when the doubt, the worry, the fear comes in, we have to refocus our minds on that which we desire. And when they come, those doubts and fears come back, we simply refocus, we recommit, we re-intend, and we re-feel. And when the doubt comes back, we do it again, and we do it as many times as we need to do it. And when we allow ourselves to pause long enough to feel as if it's already happened, our intention has already happened, we feel it as if we're living it today, then we're right in the center of spiritual law. A time for celebration and a time for rejoicing, a time for being excited, for allowing our passionate nature to come forth, to allow ourselves to live in the fullness of that dream that we have, knowing that as we engage in the spiritual practice, that all is in divine right order, that we truly are in the right place at the right time, and that right time is the moment that we're in, and we can be in gratitude and we can give thanks for that. So as we come back into this time, this space, into this room, this now moment, come back differently. Come back with the knowing that all is well. Come back with the knowing that that which is in your deepest heart has the potentiality to manifest. That our job is simply to do the work. And to do the work in consciousness. And to have as much fun doing it as we can.
don't know where this road is gonna go. It's gonna go. I'll be just fine, taking my time. I'll take it slow. I'll take it slow, 'cause I don't wanna miss this moment, and I can't get it back when it's over. I'm gonna push pause, yeah, I'm calling time out, taking the time to figure it out. Gonna push pause, yeah, I'm calling time out, calling time out, time out. Gonna push pause, oh, pause, oh. I hope someday I look back and say I had it all. I had it all. Less work, more fun, spending more time with the ones I love, singing oh, oh, 'cause I don't wanna miss this moment, and I can't get it back when it's over. I'm gonna push pause, yeah, I'm calling time out, taking the time to figure it out. Gonna push pause, yeah, I'm calling time out, calling time out, time out. Gonna push pause, oh, pause, oh. I'll be back someday, try to find it out someday. Gotta try to make my life better, try to slow down and keep it all together. Take it day by day and find myself along the way. Find myself along the way, yeah, yeah. Gonna push pause.
When you think of Unity of Wilmington, what are you grateful for? Is it the service itself, the inspiring lessons, the great music, this loving community? Whatever it is, give from that place of gratitude. You can donate on the website, on Facebook, Venmo app, by mail, or if you're in person, right here. We appreciate you and thank you for your support.
And remember this week, play with your paws. Have a good time with it. Notice what you can manifest and bring forth to experience the joy of that time. And make it a fun week.
I'm gonna push pause, yeah, I'm calling time out, taking the time to figure it out. Gonna push pause, yeah, I'm calling time out.